it, but if it's a big game, sometimes that box only might be worth $40 or $50. Like so.
Jack, you can say it only $50, but I'm selling Gap jeans for $12.95. So if I can get
that's $12.95 ship.
Thomas, guess who we're having on the show today?
Oh, I know, it's Jack. I love Jack.
You mean Jack, the expert on all things in the video game world?
I do. He's in our daily refinement group, and he is, how do you describe it? He's got the most soothing voice. He's the nicest guy, and he is willing to tell us everything he knows anytime you ask him.
But do you have a feeling that if we were to try to sneak into his world, he'd crush us? Today, though, we're going to try to cover everything from how Jack got into what he's doing briefly, but we're going to try to get some information regarding starting out as a new seller. Is it wise to go into the video game business? And you're going to ask some questions that I don't even know what they mean about grading of games. So we have something for everybody today. Shall we do it?
Let's do it. Are you okay,
Good
Sally?
morning, Thomas.
Sally. Good morning, Sally. What's going on?
Yeah, if you have forgotten me, you need to be retrained after what? An hour?
Well, I'm just tripped up because before you started recording, you were like singing fa la 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 into the mic, which you haven't done before. So I was just wondering if you're like how many? I was wondering if you're like eating a lot of your brownies or something.
No, I'm trying to step up our game. And I read that, professional people get their voice in tune prior to, well, that's singers, and I don't sing. Anyway, you know why? The only reason
Have you ever seen like heavy metal? No. Have you ever seen heavy metal singers prepare for their like singing?
It does a lot of that, doesn't it?
I'll send you videos later. Anyways, keep going.
The reason I'm putting up with you today is because at FlipCon, I had the pleasure of getting to know a little bit Jack, who is a member of our group at Daily Refinement and is the recognized expert on all things video game, but he's also just very easy to talk to. And you wouldn't know from talking to him that he's, got all the answers because he's quite understated. So with that, Jack, are you there?
Hey, thanks for bringing me on. It's gonna be interesting. We have some good video game chat here.
Good.
I want to know, how do you get Mario past the No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I saw your video where you're talking about the Xbox Mario. That was great.
But wasn't there one? Wasn't there one? And it made me sick. And I had to take No,
there's no Xbox Mario. You're always eating the brownies. So Xbox is Microsoft's product. Mario is a Nintendo product. Those worlds don't overlap.
Well enough. And did I mention that new people are sometimes reluctant to discuss things that aren't in their particular niche because we sound dumb?
Yeah, this is why Sally doesn't do video games.
Yeah. So Jack, tell me about, I just know, the very top layer of being able to talk with you, but tell me a little bit about what are you doing? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Sure. Very quickly, like I've always been into video games. I've been into flipping market stuff. I flipped on eBay kind of as like for myself for quite a while, but started to get more serious about it in like 2013, 2014, did some Amazon, kind of failed at it at first, then realized I could go to yard sales, thrift stores and try it again in 2016. Went to yard sales and thrift stores, did a lot of books, did a lot of stuff on Amazon. I love Amazon because you can just send a box in and they ship it out for you. It's pretty passive to do it. Like while we were at FlipCon, like my store was still selling stuff. I didn't have to ship it myself because Amazon ships it for me. So basically scaled up my Amazon business over time. Got cheap stuff from thrift stores, garage sales to flip, kept scaling it up. Last year I did over $1 million in sales on Amazon. Mostly use video games now because that's kind of what I niched down into and became an expert on that. So video games is basically my niche now. Mostly use video games, a few new video games, but mostly video games on Amazon is what I do. And then kind of dabble with some sports cards and other collectibles on eBay, starting up some eBay stuff, doing a little bit of YouTube stuff right now. So, but Amazon's my main focus.
Well, you are a member of the Daily Refinement Group, and
Yep.
you got talked into doing a weekly talk. And you know what? That's how I first met you. I have said that it was really amazing to run into people whose voices I know, and maybe the top of their head from a Zoom screen. But you do a weekly talk, and it's very interesting. So today, some of the things Thomas and I come at almost everything in life from two different angles. He is a more experienced seller, and if you ask him, he's going to tell you he's good at everything. I have been selling on eBay for about a year, and I don't do a very good job. So I try to get information that's relative to new people who are maybe looking at trying to get into a niche. And so, but before this call, I did a little bit of research, and I thought, okay, let's pretend like you're going to go into the niche. And I ran into some real barriers. Has the market changed in the last 2 or 3 years for you?
Well, definitely 2020 spiked the value of a lot of collectible markets, including video games. And there was a huge spike in sale of video games as people were staying at home. They ordered stuff online. So my business saw a large spike in 2020, definitely from that. It's always a really competitive niche, though, because there's a lot of collectors in it. There's a lot of people who enjoy doing it. It's always been super, super hard to get inventory. Video games are probably the most competitive thing that you're going to see at thrift stores or garage sales. Everyone's going to try to go at 6 a.m. to get all the video games. I always had difficulty getting it myself as well from there. So I kind of had to find alternate ways to get it, to get my inventory of stuff. But it is a super competitive niche because there's just so many people who want to do it. It's probably when people get started reselling, I think a lot of people gravitate towards video games because a lot of them are kind of young males who grew up playing video games and they want to flip it now, and they're interested in that as well. So it is probably one of the most competitive niches out there.
Well, I found, I was looking at what are the barriers to somebody, like a new person getting into it. Because you're right, it's kind of an attractive drug. Oh my gosh, everybody likes video games. Yeah. And, I can sell them like brownies, so to speak. But I found out I keep talking about brownies today. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Jack, I found about 5 things that I would think are barriers to somebody like me. One of them is just what you mentioned, a lack of consistent sourcing, which leads to an inconsistent cash flow. There's a proliferation of fakes, bad stuff out there. And there's a requirement, I would think, for if I'm going to sell all 5 or 6 platforms, I'm making that up because I don't know how many there are, Xbox and Nintendo or whatever, I'm going to have to invest in a game if I'm going to have to test them. So that, and then what if they're scratched? My God, I heard you guys talking about. Tell me what are they that you do with these machines you have a bunch of and they're expensive?
Yeah, there's quite you can go down a deep rabbit hole for all of that. I don't want to get into it too much here, but you can spend starting at about 150. The JFJ Easy Pro is probably what you want to go with as a starting thing, but you can go all the way up to like $20,000 machines, even higher than that if you really want to like scale up. There's someone in our group who has, I think, 14 Eco Masters, which are $20,000 machines for his business. So there's a
okay. It doesn't make any sense because well, there's not, I don't know how much of a margin there is, but you also mentioned, the crowded field. And so I thought, if I were to say, all right, boy, watch out, Jack, here I come.
Yeah. You
have such a high level of sales, you could decide to knock your price down for a while. I mean, you could eat any effort I had. So as a small person, it just seems like it's fraught with things. Once in a while, I'm going to run into video games, but as far as setting up contacts, it's way out of my wheelhouse, way out of it. Unless you're wanting the Xbox Mario game that I talked about. I rest my case.
Like most niches, you kind of just have to start small with it. I started pretty much with no cash, getting started with it, and you just have to grind it out at first. I would occasionally find really good stuff. There was one time I went to a Savers thrift store and they just put out a ton of like super valuable PlayStation 1 RPGs, like some that are probably worth, $500 now, complete. So,
wow.
And there was just probably these days it'd probably be about $3,000 worth of inventory just put out there. And probably paid like 50 or $100 for it. So you will randomly run into these scores, and you have to put yourself out there to actually get these scores. Like I have run into stuff before, but you just have to kind of grind it out at first. It is super competitive, but you can get stuff. You probably won't be able to sell $1 million worth of sales with it, but you can like start to roll that cash, snowball it, and then invest into other stuff, like put that cash into other stuff with it. So it's kind of just getting started. Is just grinding it out. You might have to call some garage sales if that's, I'm a shy person, so I never did that, to try to make these
I don't do that either. I did
I
it
know.
once. Not
I feel
out.
weird about, but the people who really grind it out, they call the people, they show up at 6 a.m. They show the night before to get all the good stuff there as well. But there was someone even like last week or so posted in our group, they got a huge score of stuff. I think paid like $100 for. It's a ton of Genesis games, GameCube games. Like I thought it was probably about $10,000 worth of inventory that they got for about $100 from a garage sale. So the deal, like if you put yourself out there, you're going to get lucky sometimes, because you have to actually put yourself out there and like put the work in to actually get the stuff with it. You won't, you will run into like these big scores every so often. So
well, Jack, what, I've heard the term from Thomas, which I always add a grain of salt to anything he says, because he lies to me all the time, but he talked about grading of games. And what is that, and why would I do it, and what's your experience with it?
So do you mean like grading games as in encapsulating them and like using a service like WADA to grade them? Or do you mean like what I would grade them when I sell them? Like what I say, very good condition, used condition.
Go, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Sally. I'm primarily talking about something that like everyone would do, which is just grading, like on Amazon and eBay, acceptable, fair. I don't even know the categories. Like, how does one easily grade those things? What does it matter? What are the price differences in general between them on eBay and Amazon? And then we could do the grading thing of the, TCG or whatever, grading of things.
I don't know if too many people are interested in the grading aspect of it. I know there's been some scandals with it over the past few years with it, and the market has gone up quite a bit. But I can talk about that too. But for most people, what for grading your own inventory, the price of it on Amazon, it does have a huge impact on Amazon specifically. I usually will not send an item into Amazon unless it's very good condition or better, especially video games. I'm looking for the video game to be complete, meaning that it has the box that it came with, the disc, and the manual. So if those are in like pretty good condition, I would basically grade that as very good, or possibly like new if it was flawless. So obviously you want to clean the dirt off, take off price stickers, like clean it up. You can even replace the case in some cases with it, because most games have just a generic case. So if I get a cheap game that's like, $5 or $6, not really worth the time to send it in after fees and shipping and all that, I'll just take that case and use it for another game. So another game where the case might be cracked or be too dirty to clean. But mostly, like, I think a lot of sellers at first do undergrade their items, and I think that can be a good thing at first, because you're going to want to build up positive feedback. You're going to overpromise. You want to over deliver, under promise with your inventory on there, so you can hopefully get some positive feedback, some good customers leaving you good feedback on there. But you do want to eventually like grade it accurately, because you will usually get a higher price by putting it a higher grade for these items, especially on Amazon. On eBay, I'm sure it does make a difference. There is a side navigation checkbox you can check off with a used item where it'll be like new, very good, good. So someone might check off only like new and very good items, and your item wouldn't show up in that case. So on eBay, so for me, most items these days, if it is complete, if it does have all the stuff that should be with the game, I'm going to usually do a very good condition on it, unless it has major flaws. And usually I'm going to try to fix the game and clean it to get it to very good condition as well.
When you put it in the machine, does it make the scratch go away? or does it just say that it doesn't hurt the playing?
Usually, if you use a higher end machine, usually the more expensive you spend on the machine, the better it ends up being. The JFJ is a good, an easy point of entry into a disc cleaning machine. It's about $150, but it doesn't work that well. It takes a long time to get the scratches out. I use an Eco Auto Smart for my main thing right now, and it works really well at getting scratches out. And it basically will make the disc look much better. It can get almost like new condition, looking really good. And many times, if it wasn't able to play before, it will be able to play. Some discs though, it's just you can't bring it back. It's like
do you disclose that that you've done major refurbishment, or is it or not?
So I don't. Some sellers do. They'll say that they clean all their discs as like a selling point. I don't bother with it. You can do that if you'd like to. I don't think it's necessary to say that. I think it can go both ways. In one way, it makes the customer think that you're being thoughtful and making sure they're not getting a scratched disc. But on the other end, maybe it'll make them think, oh, I'm buying a used game. It might have scratches, and I'm buying.
This is a piece of crap that he's polished the turd. In other words,
yeah. So I just don't mention it usually.
When you're talking about like really significant price changes and whatnot on Amazon, what degree are you talking about? Like, how big of a difference is it between marking something as, I don't even know, like what are the categories? Like new, very good.
Yeah, it's like new, very good.
Hey Bill,
good.
Can you make me a cup of coffee?
It's like
sorry.
I'm on a professional show. It's like, okay, it's like new, very good. Don't edit that out. Like new,
no,
very good.
We have butlers on our show.
Yeah. Like new, very good, acceptable, good are the conditions on on Amazon. Also, I think it's exactly the same on eBay. So there are on Amazon. There is the buy box in video games, and if you do qualify for that, you can get a much higher price for it. And the condition does matter in being able to qualify for the buy box, the condition of your items. So that's the main reason why I'm like looking at very good or better for Amazon, is just to get that higher price for it. Usually, you can get higher prices than eBay on Amazon. It's not always the case with that, but that's the main reason why I am on Amazon, is because for the ease of getting the items shipped in, as well as you usually get higher prices there too. What's
the general like percent increase in price on the very good, and what do you think is the general increase in sell-through rate?
Well, there's collectors out there who, for instance, an acceptable game would probably be just the disc, no case, no manual, nothing like that. As there's the older games, like you're talking in Nintendo NES, the cartridge is actually the cheapest part of the game. Like the expensive stuff is the box and the manual, because everyone kept their cartridges, but most people threw away their boxes and manuals. So there's way more cartridges out there. So the collectors have really like gravitated towards collecting the box and the manual, and there's a premium put on that. So as compared to just like acceptable for the newer stuff, it's not as big of an increase in the value, but you can usually get at least double the price of a game if it has the box, the cover art, the manual, as opposed to just being acceptable with the disc only. So it does make a big difference.
Is there a market then? Maybe I had a screw that looking for the disc. It sounds like a real pain in the ass, but what about the box? You know, like I have a whole box full of empty boxes. Is there a market for empty boxes?
For video games?
You have a box of empty video game boxes?
Well, yeah.
Do you know
what?
When they're from?
Go get them. We'll take a break.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
No. The only break I'm taking is to get the coffee, because my butler, Michael, or whatever his name is, Bill, my butler, Bill, didn't respond.
So for some Nintendo games, the box may be $1,000 or more just for the box, especially if it's a rare version of it. It may be like, if it's a really rare version, it could be like 10,000 or so.
Hurry
like
up, Sally.
For like a super early print of a game that like might be rare. So the box, it's like the box for especially if they're cardboard boxes from the early games, like before the 2000, when most people were just using cardboard boxes and it was easy to break, and it was like the condition of it matters a lot. So if you have a really good condition box still around, there's collectors that really want that stuff for like NES, Nintendo 64.
Well, is that a list on eBay kind of thing? So I'll take the disc out, throw it away, and sell the box.
So for the cardboard boxes, for the older stuff, like pre-2000, the newer stuff, the cases, the DVD cases survived a lot better and more people saved those. So there isn't as big of a market, but if it's a big game, sometimes that box only might be worth $40 or $50. Like if it's a GameCube game, a rare GameCube game, the box and the cover art in the manual may be worth like $75, and the game disc might be, also like $50 to $75. So
Jack, you can say it only $50, but I'm selling Gap jeans for $12.95. So if I can get
that's $12.95 ship.
Yeah, for an empty box.
Yeah.
Hell, you've changed my life. I'm just gonna go, because I don't want to do video. I've got a whole bunch of video games too. I have no idea what they are, but a bunch of them. And
are you serious?
You're gonna make me go get them, and I'm
what
not gonna
are
go
you
get
doing?
them. Well, I don't want to go into it. I know people.
My God.
I know people.
So Jack, for a beginner, is it safe to say that if it's just the disc, you should probably leave it if it's not one of the Grail titles?
Yeah,
and in general.
Okay. Well, if you're just getting started and you need that cash, there are some disc only games that could be $100 or more just for the disc. But for me, if it's just the disc, I will usually just set that aside and try to complete it with the other stuff. Like sometimes I'll get a game missing the disc, and maybe I can complete the game with some of the discs I have laying around as well. So, but if you're not like me and have like tons and tons of video games to process, maybe it's best to just sell that disc as acceptable on eBay. So you can go that route with it too.
Another thing that I wind up with is I have boxes of accessories, and it's like when you find keys in your house and you don't think they fit anything, but you're afraid to throw them away. So I have a couple or more boxes they have some games in them. They have some cords, they have flippers, or what do you call it? The controllers. And are those a safer? I mean, what do you do with them? Do you even bother with that stuff?
So right now I don't bother with it because it takes a lot of time to test it. There can be a lot of issues with the controllers. You might have to replace the sticks on it. They might drift a bit. The buttons might stick. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong with the controllers. So right now I usually don't deal with them because it takes too much time to test them. If I had lots of employees, I would probably be able to do that. Like I said, there's someone in our group who has a huge video game business, and most of what they do is refurbishing the hardware with it. So there's a ton of money in it. I've known people who their business model is refurbishing the hardware, selling that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of money in it. It just takes a lot of time to clean it and to make sure it's working. And if you don't do that, you probably will get a good amount of returns with it, because usually especially with controllers, they get dirty, they break, so they can be a little bit difficult to test.
It seemed like it was a real suck of time. I started going through, and I don't know what goes to what. I really thought seriously about hiring a kid to come in and tell me what goes with what. And then I thought, I don't even want to do that. So, all right, well, that answers that.
Yeah.
That's
so how many?
When it comes to these, nope, Sally.
What?
Sally, so when it comes to these accessories, what are the different schemes when it comes to very good, acceptable? What makes a acceptable console? If you can look at it and it stays in one piece, because if it plays the game, isn't that kind of the whole goal?
For me, I would probably try to clean it up to get in very good condition if you can, just clean it off of it. And it just to try.
We're a professional show, Jack.
Yeah.
I could show you, but I'm using my Keurig, so it'll hiss at you in a minute.
So like you obviously want to make sure that everything's working, or else sell it for parts as not working on eBay. On Amazon, you really want to over deliver to the customer because they're not seeing pictures of it. So I wouldn't sell something that was really beat up on Amazon for a console or a controller. I'd want to make sure it's like in pretty good condition with it. Like at the minimum, it like a console should actually work unless you're selling it for parts. And I would try to do like some light cleaning to it to like make sure it's not dirty. There's a lot of horror stories with consoles, so like opening up and being lots of bugs in there. It's just not something I like to deal with.
Well, Jack, you know this. I love equipment. You know, I have a Keurig, I have everything known to man. I have a as seen on TV cabinet. But at what point would you suggest that someone invest in the $150 cleaning machine? Because I really want one.
Yeah.
So. It seems to me like for $150, if you're making, you know, the games that I would have, maybe I'd make $5 off of.
So the way I did it was at first I saved up a bunch of games, like just kept them on a shelf where it made sense. Like I'd look at it and say, okay, this is scratch. I don't want to sell this to a customer. It's like too scratched up. So I need to clean this. And I saved up about 50 games and then bought the resurfacer for my first one. Like that one I said, the $150 one was what I bought. So I had 50 games to clean, so I could easily make that money back from saving up that. And that's basically what I did throughout upgrading to machines. Like I upgraded to the next tier, which was like a $1,000 machine after I saved up like 500 games. And then I basically had a couple storage units full of games to upgrade to the next tier, which is $2,000
storage
machine.
Units? A couple of storage units?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're 20 by 100s, so they're not, you know, they're not that big.
No, not quite. But yeah, it like I just saved up the games to where it made sense to be able to pay for itself with the machine, basically. So I was buying the games so cheap from these thrift stores anyway. Like if I'm paying $3 for a game, I know it's going to sell for 20. I can pay that $3 and wait a couple months to clean it and just hold on to it. And because I know it's easily something very liquid that I can get the cash from. So I would just buy up the games and then just clean them later. And also getting started, I would look at the condition of each disc in the thrift store. And if it was only like a $10, $15 game, I might put it back if the disc was really scratched up, because I just didn't want to hold on to it and didn't want to buy it. So.
Well, do you sell, you said, you know, some games you don't even bother with. Do you have a lower threshold of expected sale price before you're going to screw with it?
Yeah. So I'm probably a little bit lower than most people, but I generally want the game to be selling for at least $8 to be worth the time to do it. But I get games in large lots, so I'm handling the game anyway. So I'm making the decision as I pull it out, whether to throw it out. I've already paid for it since it's usually part of a lot. So it's either monetize it or throw it away basically at that point. So sometimes it's just not even worth sending in and dealing with. If it's like a $10 game and I see this disc is super scratched up, it's probably not even worth the time to clean it, because it'll take time to clean it, time to like, if it's a really messed up game, I'll just throw it out if it's like $10 or so. So the lowest I'll usually sell a game for is about $7 or $8. With after fees, I'm only making like about $2 from that generally. So, but
can you ship them media mail?
So I ship them to Amazon's warehouse. So I ship them in usually a box of about 50 or 60 games. So my shipping cost is only about 10 cents per game. So yeah. And then I pay Amazon pretty high fees to ship it to the customer. I basically pay about $5 per game fixed cost to Amazon to fulfill it to the customer for each game.
So you're making $2 on that game.
So if you fill it for 7, yeah, about $2.
But you're not having to do anything. You put it in a box.
Yeah. So I don't have to ship it.
You turn 10 cents into $2.
Yeah, it only takes about a minute or two to list the game as well.
When I was doing my research, I was really concerned about the fakes, because, you know, we all live in fear of getting fakes. So someone mentioned, gee, go stick with cartridges because, no, it wasn't fakes. It was a condition. Stick with cartridges. Cartridges are more likely to work without having to screw with them. Is that true?
I think that's true. You can clean cartridges yourself as well without a machine. I'm not super knowledgeable about that because I don't deal much with cartridges really. But for fakes, the cartridges are way more faked than the discs. There's very few. I don't know of any really good fakes for discs. There are a couple good fakes for cartridges, but you kind of learn it over time. So
really,
yeah,
it would seem like a cartridge would be harder to fake than a disc.
Yeah.
The discs are harder to fake because of the DRM on the systems. It's harder to it's harder to get past that. So
yeah.
It's hard to make a really good fake that to pass for a disc. For cartridges, it's not that difficult really these days with AliExpress, all those places you can go to get these high quality reproductions.
So why don't you deal with cartridges? Why do you prefer to deal with discs?
It's just easier for me to source that kind of stuff. There's a lot of it's not as old, so there's more people donating their collections and getting rid of it that you might run into it more often. Also, the collector market hasn't really caught up with the post 2000 disc-based stuff as much as the older stuff. So there's more opportunities out there to get these to get the newer stuff than it is the older stuff. And just I just kind of specialize in media. And it's also much easier just to scan a barcode on the back of a game than it is to look up every single game, the cartridge as well. So it's just more efficient for my process too. But like if I run into a really good deal, like I'm definitely going to take it for this kind of stuff, and I might flip on eBay as well.
Are they typically more expensive?
Oh yeah, definitely. The cartridge stuff has really exploded in value. Especially since 2020. So cartridges, you're going to be usually paying a lot more. There's also more collectors who compete with me to buy stuff as well. So usually I'm gonna have to pay up more if I want to buy it to resell.
Jack, I feel like I could talk to you for hours, and
yeah, I love it. I love talking like this.
Well, I mean, I think there's so many questions I have. I'll tell you why I decided not to come after you. Because I thought, you know what, man, I'll just buy some games that I get at a really good sale price. And in fact, I told Thomas this, and I said, I'm going to open up this little arbitrage store, which I did. I think I'm just going to make a killing. So sure enough, I go on at 2:00 in the morning, and son of a gun, Best Buy has put these games on, and it sounds vaguely familiar to me. And they're usually $44, and they're only $9 now.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to buy 3 of them. And Thomas said something like, well, by the time you get them, everybody will have them. Well, he's kind of right. So I bought these, and they were called Call of Duty, The Ascension, or something like that.
Was it Call of Duty Vanguard?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was on sale recently for $10. Yeah, I bought some of those myself.
Yeah. Oh, I got them for $9.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
So, well, for what? I mean, if you can sell them for 10, that's a quick dollar.
So I would send those. I did send mine into Amazon, so it's a little bit easier sending it in there. I know the sale you're talking about. I bought some of those too. Like, it was a good deal. I bought some to flip. But for that, I would generally, when I bought those, I expected to sell them for maybe about $25 to $30 or so, which is a pretty good return on investment for that. But usually what happens is the price crashes down because like I'm talking to you and you bought them and I bought them and everyone else knows about and bought them too. So the price usually does trend down a little bit. I like more Amazon for these kind of flips though, because I don't have to I can just put them all in a big box and just send them in and just forget about it basically. So
what's the downside of selling through Amazon for you on games? Is there a downside?
Well, you are going to pay more in fees than you will be if you were to fulfill it yourself through eBay, but it allows you to, like, if I would not be able to do the volume I do as like a very small operation, because I'd have to ship out everything myself. So it allows you to scale a lot faster, but you are going to pay a little bit higher fees. The returns are going to be a little bit higher than eBay as well. those are the two main downsides that I hear everyone talk about.
I have, I know Thomas probably has more questions, but a final question that kind of knowing what you know now and how the market has changed. And if you had $10,000 in your pocket and wanted to start a successful business, would you pick video games as a niche because of your background? Would you walk away from it because the market's changed, or would you go into exotic butterflies instead?
Well,
Butterflies.
I don't like the idea of people starting up with a lot of money because they tend to not know their niche very well getting started. So
interesting.
I actually really like the fact that I started with very little capital. And so I was forced to really learn the stuff super well. I think you can make a lot of mistakes if you just like were given $10,000 to invest in this and not know enough about it. So you kind of have to earn, you have to earn the knowledge of the niche by going out there and like spending small amounts at first, kind of grinding it out. I hear a lot of people kind of talk about like they need money to start reselling, but they really don't. They just need to spend the time to go out and learn the niche and kind of put
there isn't a
into
shortcut. I keep looking for a magic pill, Alice's magic pill, but there isn't one. And that's kind of comforting to know that you feel you've been there and you feel the same way. Like, for example, if I had $10,000, you know what I probably would have done? I would have probably bought $1,009.99 Vanguards that I can make a quick dollar on. So, well, for me, this has been enlightening. And the problem is you've now made me feel comfortable DMing you about my empty boxes. And
I want to see them. I'm interested.
So I want to go get them. What do you got, Sally?
I don't want to go get them. I have boxes.
I want you to go get them.
I have a game. Okay, there's a thing.
Jack wants you to go get them. I know Jack wants you to go get them.
It's this big. It's black. There is not a name on it, but it takes a little tiny game thing to go into it. And it's like Smash Brothers or Smash something or other. And
awesome. Thank you, Sally.
What? Yeah. So see, I don't even know what they are. And that I don't want to go get them. We'll do a flip or flop someday. How about that?
Jack, real quick. Do you want her to go get them?
No,
I would, but I don't like. Maybe it could be a future episode.
Just say yes.
Yes.
You know what? We're way over our time today. I don't want.
Yeah, may have to do it some other time, I guess.
I'm embarrassed at how many obscure things I have in boxes, robots and stuff like this, and crap like that. And I happen to know I have a couple boxes of games that I picked up places.
Never. What does that mean? What does that look? Did you buy them from Jack? And you're like,
yes, I bought them from Jack. Jack, our secret is out. We've been
collaborating. Are there
I'm
like
actually,
weird game sex clubs or something? What do you?
Look, I am actually the curtain behind Jack. I'm the one that's making all the buy decisions for Jack. I'm the one with the expertise.
Well,
so
they're all NC-17 games. It doesn't make any sense. They're just.
Is that a football team?
No, it means they're all like adult nudie games.
Oh.
The way you described it, it does sound like you have some good stuff there.
No, I probably don't. I probably don't. All right. Well, do you have anything else to say, dumbass? Not you, Jack. That's.
Yes, Ellie. We're trying to be monetized, so the less vulgarities, the better. Did you hear Jack swear once? No. Jack is a great guest, and a honorable human being who doesn't swear, Sally.
Well, Jack, will you come back if I dig out a bunch of stuff? Will you come back and do a little? I don't want to take up too much of your time, but you could do like a 20-minute flip or flop segment.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to seeing this, and like I feel like maybe I can try to convince your guests to get on Amazon at some point too.
Don't expect too much. Don't expect too much.
Hey, Sally, if they're wrapped in plastic, don't open them.
Oh yeah, don't
leave them sealed. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
How do you know if there's something really in there? See, I'm no fool. This is why I'm the brains behind Jack's whole empire.
That was good.
I'm sorry, Jack. I pledged that I would never tell. Well, I have enjoyed this more than I can tell you. And as I said, you were one of the bright lights in my experience at FlipCon too. And I appreciate you. I can't believe that you're willing to share the wealth of information you have to someone.
Yeah, I don't know why
thinks,
you do, but
Yeah.
we appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah. It was fun having me, like, it's fun being on here. I really appreciate like you inviting me. It was fun talking to you too. I really
Yep.
enjoy it, like going on these shows. So thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thomas,
Thank you.
you did good.
Did I? I didn't fall asleep, so I'm proud of myself.
You didn't swear.
You did.
Yeah. All right. Hey,
Bye,
guys,
Jack.
thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, Jack, I'm going to turn off the, oh, I've got my phone